as they've shot some goals for some of these goalies. Give me both teams to score in the first period. That's coming in at plus 185 compared to the over 1.5 that is at minus 120. Okay, you guys ready? Let's make some frickin' money. It's time for Pocket with Jo.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. It's time for Pocket with Jo over here on SportsGrid TV on X. I hope everyone's having a wonderful start to the day. Thank you guys so much for being here. Now, I hope you cashed over the weekend. It was a crazy weekend of games out there on the ice, as well as out there on the football field. But we're talking the pucks here today. We've got 3 games on deck, a shorter slate today on a Monday, but we did have a huge slate yesterday. So you guys, I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Let me know how your weekend went, what you're celebrating on this Monday. Some of you, I know, Mets fans out there definitely celebrating Soto. So good morning to each and every one of you. Let's get going here. I appreciate you guys. So thank you for dropping in. Again, we'll go over each and every one of these games, and at the end of the show, we will do our picks, or the recap of the picks. So the first game we're going to jump into is the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Now, the Detroit Red Wings, all odds are over on FanDuel. Both of these teams in a losing streak, right? And you look at both of the head coaches here, somebody is about to get fired. We know that happens in the NHL at a drop of a dime, and I do think we could see a firing tonight after one of these teams does lose. Someone has to lose, and someone has to break that winning streak. So we have to lay juice here on the Buffalo Sabres, minus 126. This is a team that was a minus 130 on the weekend versus Utah, and they weren't able to get the win. They did put up 2 goals to push us over the total of 6.5. We did see Utah score 5 of those. So Buffalo, I can't trust. I can't lay minus 126 here. I do like their playmakers, and I do think this team is underplaying from expectations on the season. We got a total of 6.5. When we look at the Red Wings, we just haven't seen a lot of goals out of them in some of these games. And then the games they have been able to put a lot of goals up, they still haven't been able to get the win. Now, they've lost the last 5. 2 of those games have gone to overtime. But one thing I really like is this team has been able to cover the puck line. You look at them off that loss to the Colorado Avalanche, 2-1. It was a tight battle out there. They won this matchup versus the Buffalo Sabres 2-1 as well. Their last 9 games, they've covered that puck line. So while they've lost in the majority of those 9, losing their last 5 and a couple of those full 9, we've seen tight games. We've seen 1-goal games. So the Red Wings, yes, they're losing, but they're not getting blown out of the water. When we look here at the Buffalo Sabres, they've lost their last 6. They got blown out of the water versus Utah as a home favorite in their last game, allowing 3 more goals than they were able to put up. They're the Rangers on deck on Wednesday, and we have the Red Wings here with the Flyers on a Thursday, still out there on the road. The Buffalo Sabres, one thing that's been super frustrating if you've been betting on them and looking for them to make you some money, is that first period is absolutely golden, and then they just let it go. So when we look at that first period in their last game out versus Utah, they went up 1-0, and then they allowed Utah to get those goals after that. The game prior versus the Jets, they were able to put 2 goals up in the first period, and the game prior to that versus the Avs, they were able to put up 4 goals in that first period, and then they let that one go, losing it big. I think it was a 5-4 loss. So all of their goals came in the first period. I do think the Buffalo Sabres continue that kind of trend. They've come out nice and strong on their home ice in that first period and just let things go. So right now, before this game kicks off, I will take the Buffalo Sabres first period puck line, laying a 0.5 goal. That's coming in at plus 166. But I do think the Red Wings, they are going to be eager to get on the board as well. You guys, I'm trending to higher scoring games out there on the ice tonight. So the Red Wings and the Sabres over 1.5 in the first period at minus 128. I don't want to take both teams to score because we have seen the Buffalo Sabres put up multiple goals themselves. And I do think this one has the possibility of multiple goals. I also think that they end up taking this first period here as well. So just the over 1.5. Could we see 3 goals? Absolutely. We could see 2 out of the Sabres and 1 out of the Red Wings and still be able to capitalize on the puck line of the Buffalo Sabres in the first period. So that is how I think this game unfolds. I do think this game has every possibility of going to overtime, just because the importance between these two teams. One team, I promise you, there's a coach going from one of these teams. So I think overtime is in play. Again, when we're seeing overtime at plus 310, you guys know I love to hit on it. Most overtimes are plus 380. So at plus 310, I will hit this one to go to overtime. I think this is an over 6.5 because of that overtime. 3-3 going in there. Dylan Larkin has been getting those goals out there for the Red Wings. So if you want to look at a player for the Red Wings, he has 12 goals and 9 assists. And when we look here at the Sabres, you know I like what Tage Thompson has brought to the table. Dylan Colson has been getting those assists on the board. Alex Tuch has been scoring those goals as well, 8 goals and 16 assists. So you can look at all three of those playmakers out there. But I do think the goals are coming. You lean on the Red Wings in overtime. Yeah, this Red Wings team, I tell you, this is the one that's been playing in the tighter games. So I do think it is a great one here to look at. And yeah, the Sabres, they are absolutely struggling. They're not looking good at home. They need to get out on the road for sure. Good morning to each and every one of you. So I'm going to take the overtime. I'm going to look for this one to be that higher scoring game, for the Sabres to come out nice and strong in the first period. But I think at the end of the day, the Red Wings take this. So if you think the Red Wings can take it in overtime, what I would look at, if the Sabres do go up in that first period, grabbing the Red Wings to come back on that money line, live betting this one. In hockey, those live betting lines, the overreaction by the books is second to none. I promise you, you're going to get so much value there. Looking at the Red Wings down that goal. You're going to take Tuch Kreider over 2Z Caulfield and a Terry for those anytime goals. I love where you're going. Dylan Larkin there, Alex Tuch, both playing in this game. And then you got Chris Kreider for the New York Rangers, for anyone that doesn't know. Bertuzzi for the Chicago Blackhawks, Cole Caulfield for the Montreal Canadiens, and Troy Terry for the Anaheim Ducks. So, Larry, I love where you're going there, incorporating all these games into those anytime goals. If you guys want to just look at those 5 players there, 6 players for the anytime points, I would back that as well. I think Larry is on the money with those picks. And again, I think they're going to be higher scoring games today. So I love looking at the parlays. Yeah, the Red Wings definitely coming in with better numbers. You just got to look at how tight these games have been that they've been losing as well. Covering the puck line in their last 9. One of those games was an overtime win that they covered that puck line. We know they've lost their last 5, all by 1 goal. Like, they took the Avs to a 2-1 game on a Saturday. So when we saw the Buffalo Sabres the last time they played the Avs 3 games ago, they put up 4 goals in the first period and the Avs won 5-4. So they allowed those goals to come in. So super frustrating, this Sabres team. James Reimer expected in goal tonight, and Billy Husso for the Red Wings. So 2 goaltenders that are allowing a ton of goals to come in. Okay, let's talk about more frustration out there, especially if you're a New York Rangers fan. The New York Rangers have been going through so much turbulence. Now, goaltending might be an issue tonight. Igor's wife is expecting a baby. You know, Bobrovsky's wife just had a baby. Igor Shesterkin signed his contract. The wife is expecting. We don't know who we're going to get tonight because Jonathan Quick did play in their last game last night. This is the second night of a back-to-back here. So we saw Jonathan Quick. We're expecting to see Igor, but that, you know, all could change very quickly here. They have called up Dylan Garland. So this is a game you need to watch. I don't know enough about Dylan Garland being pulled up. I do think no matter what happens in this one, with the goaltending, we can count on the Rangers to be able to get the goals on the board. Yes, it's the second night of a back-to-back, but this is a strong situation for the Rangers. Off a loss at home, it's been strong for them. They've won their last 12 off a home loss, but they've also won their last 8 on that second night of a back-to-back. So this team comes out with momentum. I'm looking for that momentum in the first period. They need to outscore the Chicago Blackhawks, especially if Dylan Garland comes in and really doesn't have much success in goal. We know the Chicago Blackhawks are a team that scores a heck of a ton of goals, but Connor Bedard, I do think his abilities to get those goals are so strong. Tara Vinen as well. I like their combination out there on the ice, and I do think if you're looking at someone from Chicago to step up, because there's been frustrating moments for Connor Bedard out there where he's passed that puck off when I really think he should have taken that shot on net. So his anytime goal coming in at plus 280. And if I'm feeling that, you know Connor Bedard's feeling that on the ice. We have the Chicago Blackhawks. It's their first game of 3 out there on the road. They have the Islanders on Thursday. This is another team. They have to get going. Now, they fired their head coach, Luke Richardson, and then they didn't show up. They showed up in the first period in that game versus it was the Jets, right? They were able to come out. They got 2 goals in the first period, and then they gave it away after that on Saturday. So they didn't play strong enough, weren't able to get the win. Now, can they come in and get the win versus a struggling Rangers team? It's a lot to ask. It is a lot to ask because I do think this Rangers team, they have an elite kill. Their kill's coming in at 85.5%. They're going to be pissed off after getting a win and then losing to the Seattle Kraken. That was a terrible loss as well. They went up in that first period, got a goal. Then they allowed the Seattle Kraken to put up 4 goals in the second period and 3 in the third. The defense is just reeling. So if you just want to play against this defense, and if it is Dylan Garland in because the defense is allowing those shots to come in, you could just look at the Chicago Blackhawks team total over 2.5. I don't know how much I trust it though, you guys, because Chicago really isn't capitalizing in a lot of these situations. They're going to struggle to score on that power play tonight as well. Their kills coming in at 82.1%, but the Rangers kill 85.5%, second best in the league. And the power play here, the power play only coming in at 23.9%. So it's still a strong number. I would rather look at the Rangers. I'm just going to take their team total. Over 3.5 goals for the New York Rangers. Looking for them to find the back of Sonderblom's net tonight, I think, is the way to go. Over 3.5 goals at -118. I think they win this in a 4-2 battle. Could we see that 4-3 because of goaltending? We absolutely could, but it's going to be a hard one here. Like if Dylan Garland comes in and the Chicago Blackhawks hit him hard, they have to put Jonathan Quick in if Igor isn't available tonight. Jonathan Quick played last night, so a hard spot for the Rangers. In that case, I could see the Chicago Blackhawks really capitalizing. But Panarin, I would look at for the anytime goal. I'm also going to look at the Rangers in the first period on that puck line. Let's absolutely kill the books today. Okay, Igor is confirmed. Again, I would be very cautious. Still with Igor confirmed, I do love the over 3.5 goals. Zibanejad has been getting into this, and something is completely wrong with the Rangers. You are right. I do not know what is wrong with this team. You know, they let Trouba go. How they let their captain go, how they dealt with that was gross. Now, Trouba, we're hoping to see tonight versus the Montreal Canadiens, playing for his debut here versus the Anaheim Ducks. I don't have confirmation, but I'm really thinking that we will see him out there. The books are not giving us any props yet on Trouba, but the way the Rangers dealt with Trouba was disgusting. Now, the Rangers were able to come out and get that win on that same day that Trouba was announced that he was traded to the Anaheim Ducks. So he must have signed off on going to the Ducks. He's excited to be on this team, I'm sure, after being treated so shitty by the New York Rangers. To treat their captain like that, all the players on the bench have to be wondering, right, how they are going to be dealt with. We know Chris Kreider's name's being floated around, and I can't see these players being happy. Igor just got that big contract sign as well, the extension there. So it's an interesting time in New York. I do think this is a team that is much better than their record, and I struggle with how they're playing as of late. I do expect them. Yeah, who shows up? You're so right. Who shows up in this game is the question. It's Panarin has been showing up. Zibanejad has been showing up as well since Trouba was gone. We were all talking all season about where Mika Zibanejad was. What was wrong with Mika Zibanejad? Trouba goes, and we've seen Mika Zibanejad step up in both of these games. So there might have been an issue between those guys. If you want to look at Mika to step up, I do think he had an issue with Trouba. Something was going on with those two out there. Mika Zibanejad for the anytime goal at +260 tonight. I would also look at Mika Zibanejad for his points. Now, the 1+ points, you know, it's too juiced. Mika Zibanejad, though, for 2+ points is +290. I'm really waiting for Adam Fox to step up. The offensive defenseman that hasn't been offensive at all this season, he was so strong last season at getting those goals from the blue line, and we just haven't seen it this season. I do think we could see that step up, and I'm playing on that step up of Adam Fox the more I think about it here. So Adam Fox for the anytime goal, I'm going to sprinkle on it for the next couple of games here. Since the change up without Trouba, I'm going to take him at +650 tonight for the anytime goal. I'm going to put a third of a unit on it. I'll put a third of a unit on the next game and a third of the unit on the following. And then, we'll probably cash on that fourth when I don't continue with it. But at plus 650, putting a third of a unit, it's Adam Fox has to turn things around out there on the ice. And I do think we're going to have things going on. They are showing Trouba in the lineup. That has been confirmed in the last couple of minutes. I'm super excited to hear that. I was scouring everything right before we kicked off. So let's get into that game. Great segue there for me, Timothy. The Anaheim Ducks taking on the Montreal Canadiens. The Montreal Canadiens got Patrick Laine back in this lineup, and he has been so effective since coming out there for the Montreal Canadiens for the first time this season. He has got a goal in both of those games. Now, they're minus 150 favorites here at home, and the Anaheim Ducks are plus 125, total of 6.5. Again, I think we have the possibility of the majority of these games going over. The Rangers and the Blackhawks, I think that probably hits 6. I'm looking for a 4-2 style game. It could be a 4-3 going over the total. I look at this one. I do think the Ducks have the ability to get the goals on a Sam Montague. And then when we look here at the Anaheim Ducks, they're expected to start John Gibson. John Gibson allows those goals to come in. We've seen the Ducks. They've lost their last 2, but they've won their last 3 out there on the road. They've been playing strong on the road. And then you put Trouba in the lineup. And I do think this game is going to be highly competitive, highly explosive between these players. Now, I want to see on FanDuel if we're getting any props here for Trouba. You guys, let me know if you're seeing them anywhere else, what value the books are giving you, if they're giving you anything on Trouba to come out here. I really want to look at his points tonight as he acclimates to this team, but he's going to come out with such fire, such passion. I'm not seeing anything for his points or that goal for him in this game. So FanDuel not up to speed on Trouba being in the lineup tonight. But I do think you definitely want to look at him to come out here and make those big defensive moves. I think he gets that assist out there. I like Anaheim to be able to get it done. Sam Montague, we know, hasn't been really as strong as I would like to see. Now, I think we have an explosive first period, and then we see that lockdown in the second and the third. So I'm going to take the first period over 1.5 goals. That's coming in at minus 126, and both teams to score in the first period. Patrick Laine is going to come out with such passion out here to score on the Ducks. And then we've got Cole Caulfield. He's been really stepping up. You look at his numbers in the last 10, and they've been fantastic. And Nick Suzuki. When we look at the Ducks, Leo Carlsson is listed day-to-day. Alex Killorn has been able to get those goals on the road. He's got a goal in 3 of the last 4 road games. His anytime goal coming in at plus 320. Troy Terry, we know, has been able to light the lamp as well. And Frank Bertrandio has 6 goals and 6 assists for the Ducks. So the Ducks are really spreading out where these goals are coming from. I would look at Troy Terry and Alex Killorn tonight to be able to get things done, but I think Trouba comes out with a great assist out there. Could we get that defensive goal? We absolutely could. So if you can find it on deck, he's going to have so much to prove in this game tonight. So I'm expecting the Ducks to get another win. We're getting the value with the Ducks, but again, we have seen in some of these games, Montreal step up in that first period. If Montreal goes up in the first period and we're able to come back in on the Ducks with great plus money, I'm going to go there. I do think both teams score in the first period. So what I want to see in both teams to score in the first period is plus 172. I want to see the Ducks go up 1-0 quick in this first period. And then as soon as that happens, I'm going to come back in on the Anaheim Ducks with the plus money they're giving us. So giving us plus 125 right now. If Montreal goes up 1-0, I'm sure we're going to get like plus 180 for the Anaheim Ducks, if not plus 200. And I'm going to come back in on that. I'm saving some money to put aside for that bet tonight because I do think the Ducks ultimately get the win here. We're getting great plus money. And like I said, they've won their last 3 out there on the road. The Montreal Canadiens, off that loss to the Capitals at home, they had the 4-2 loss. They've got the Pens on deck on Thursday. Like I said, Patrick Laine is who you want to look at for that anytime goal. Cole Caulfield and Nick Suzuki as well. Parlaying the 3 of those players for their points, I think is going to be straight money tonight because I do think we could see 2 goals out of the Montreal Canadiens, 4 out of the Anaheim Ducks, still keeping us under the total of 6.5. So that 6.5 to the under is minus 132. So we could have 2 of these games stay under 6.5, but just under, right at that number of 6. But I do think the Detroit Red Wings and the Buffalo Sabres, because of overtime, go over that 6.5. So 6-goal games. We actually have that total of 5.5 versus the Chicago Blackhawks now. And the New York Rangers, that line has moved to since we've been on air, which is a scary situation. At 5.5, I do think the Rangers could win this in a 4-2. I would take that to the over. I really did think that that would stay solid at 6.5. So we're moving on that line right now. Sam Montague has been playing in some really strong games. So Sam Montague goes through these phases, you guys. It is frustrating with Sam Montague because he either has a fantastic game or he doesn't. So you never know what you're going to get out of him. And I was a big believer when I watched him play in Calgary a couple of seasons ago. I couldn't believe how strong he was out there on the ice. And then we've seen these other games where it's just like, what the heck is he doing? So you guys, let's get to the recap time. Only 3 games on deck. We've chopped them to death, I feel like, here in the last 20 minutes. So we'll recap those player props as well. Just let me have one sip of coffee. It's a Monday. I need my coffee today. Okay, the Detroit Red Wings taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Love this one to go to overtime. The overtime bet coming in at plus 310. Again, both of these teams on a losing streak. I do think heads are going to roll for the losing team here tonight. The Red Wings have been playing in the stronger games. They've been keeping these game tight, covering the puck line in their last 9 games, even though they've been losing. They've been playing in absolute battles out there, while the Buffalo Sabres have been getting blown out. They're off a loss to Utah, in which they were a minus 130 favorite, giving up 5 goals, only putting 2 in the back of the net. But the Buffalo Sabres have been consistent in that first period, getting those goals on deck, getting those leads, and not being able to hold on to them. I'm going to take the Buffalo Sabres in the first period on the puck line, laying a half goal at plus 166. I also love the first period over 1.5, minus 128. Not taking both teams to score because I could see the Sabres getting up 2-0. At that point, I will be coming back in on the Detroit Red Wings plus 1.5 if they go up 2-0 with a sprinkle on that money line, because I think it's an overtime game at plus 310 for the overtime, and one that the Red Wings can win in overtime. Again, I'm looking at this one to go over the 6.5. When we look at playmakers here, I'd look at Dylan Larkin for the Red Wings. And then when we look at the Buffalo Sabres, Alex Tuch, I would look at in this one, as well as a Tage Thompson. Let's move on to the Chicago Blackhawks taking on the New York Rangers. The Rangers on the second night of a back-to-back have won their last 8. They've also bounced back off of losses at home in Madison Square Garden. I'm looking for them to be able to get the win, but I'm not going to lay the puck line with this team. Well, I could see them covering, and I think they cover it because of an empty netter situation. I think Chicago brings it tonight and puts up a battle here, especially with the unknown with the goaltending. Now you guys are saying Igor is confirmed. His wife is expecting, so that could change at a drop of a dime if she does go into labor. They have brought up Dylan Garland from the AHL. He could step into this one tonight because we saw Jonathan Quick play last night. So a little cautious on that. I think no matter what happens in this one, the Rangers get 4 goals on the board, over 3.5 goals here. Again, I told you, I think Mika Zibanejad has loved the fact that Trouba has gone. He has been playing better in these last couple of games. I am looking for Adam Fox to bring that step up as well. I'm going to put a third of a unit on Adam Fox for the anytime goal at that great plus 650 money. Rangers first period on the puck line, laying a half a goal at plus 120. And Panarin I would look at for the anytime goal as well. And last but not least, the Anaheim Ducks taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Trouba will be making his debut. The Ducks, I think, win this at the end of the day. They're plus 125 right now on the money line. I'll put a half a unit on that, and I'll put a half a unit on them when they go down in this game. I think Montreal gets off to a hot start in this one, scores the first goal, and then we see, that's what I'm hoping at least, and then we're going to get more value on the Anaheim Ducks at plus 125, still great value. I want this at closer to 2-1 to my money. The Ducks have won their last 3 out there on the road, and I do think they bring that heat tonight, especially with Trouba in the lineup. Alex Killorn has been playing strong on the road, getting a goal in 3 of his last 4. I will take the first period over 1.5 goals at minus 126, and both teams to score in the first period. I think it's an explosive first period at plus 172 for both teams to score. Patrick Laine has been great since being able to get out there on the ice for Montreal. I would look at him for his anytime goal. Kyle Caulfield, Nick Suzuki for the points as well. Leo Carlson day-to-day here for the Ducks, but Troy Terry, I would look at to step up like he always does in this game. Trouba, if you can get any props on him, I would look at his points tonight. So I'm looking for explosive first period out of these teams. I'm hoping that we see Montreal go up first and we can come back in on the Ducks with more plus money because I ultimately think that they can get the road win here. 4-2 style game between these two with the Ducks putting up those 4 goals. So that's where I'm going, you guys. I want to wish you all the best in all of your bets. Thank you so much for joining me here on Pocket with Jo on the daily. If you can hit that like, hit that retweet button, I would greatly appreciate it today. So you guys, all the way from Mississippi. Hi in Mississippi, DePaul. I hope you're having beautiful weather down here. It's snowing up here in YYC in Calgary today. So I'm hoping for the weather to turn a little bit nicer so I can take the dogs for a nice long walk today. But we'll see. We've got Monday Night Football, so make sure you stay tuned to the SportsGrid app. We will have my Madden Quickie up there very shortly, so you don't want to miss out on that. The Madden Quickie Absolute Cash yesterday. We altered those lines from the Minnesota Vikings, so hopefully you guys jumped on that. We also thankfully got the Dolphins in OT covering the 5.5 spread. Hopefully you guys didn't have a line of 6. So the Madden Quickie will be up. The same game parlay was just terrible yesterday. I thought the Browns would be able to cover versus the Steelers. They were unable to do so. What are the Steelers doing? I tell you guys, is Russ? I owe him an apology. I didn't think Russ would be able to pull that offense together like he has. So you guys, all the best. Thank you for joining me here daily. Back tomorrow at noon Eastern. Make sure you come hang out with me for half an hour tomorrow. Actually, it's probably going to be closer to an hour because it's a loaded slate tomorrow. Talk to you soon, guys.